if you maybe are a beginner and you're starting out on beginner gear, I'm going to show you how to do that and how to get those mouth-watering photos, how to get the close-up photos on budget-friendly gear. So my setup is I have this beautiful south-facing window over here to the left of me. And this is where all of my light is coming in. Now it is summer, right? Or May. So the sun is a little bit more directly overhead. The first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set a custom white balance, and this helps to get a consistent white balance all through your session. If you ask me, like, Melody, why do you like mirrorless so much? What is it about mirrorless? The very first thing that I would tell you is the amount of focal points. It just automatically makes life so much easier. On the older cameras, like I have a 60D, there's only like 9 focal points that you can select, and it makes composition just a little bit trickier. The point is to keep the things focused on the recipe. And you're probably gonna think, well, she doesn't actually use very many styling supplies. Like, look at all that she has behind her, and I'm probably gonna use maybe 3, 4, 5 things throughout the session. You don't have to use a lot. The food is the most important part. So if you are working on an 18 to 55 millimeter and you're working on a crop sensor camera, it is better to keep your lens around 28 to 30 millimeters, and that's going to give you a true 50. If you are on a crop sensor, because of how the camera is cropped, and I've got an excellent blog post of this up, you guys, that explains what I am talking to you about. And I love backlit photos because I just love how the light hits the food just a little bit different. And that just involves me stepping back. You have to be careful with this angle though, because what will happen is if I go all the way down here and I'm too low and I go from the side, everything is blown out back here, and then the front of the bundt cake is going to be too dark. But if you see that's a backlit photo. Anytime I go back and preview my images, I have that line of dynamic symmetry on here, and I absolutely love it because then it lets me know like how I need to adjust my photo. So I love that. Okay, all right, so I've got my photos here, I've got them glazed. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna move to a different serving rack, okay? I'm gonna go back to my round one. If the recipe doesn't turn out, if it is not properly executed, it doesn't matter how pretty the photos are. So recipe execution is extremely important. Whenever we use this macro filter, macro photos are so important to food photography. We wanna get that angle. The macro lens adapter, yes, you guys, those macro lenses are like $15. The macro lens is like $1,600. And so if you are starting, this is gonna allow you to get those yummy drama shots that bloggers need on a budget, okay? They are not like a long-term solution, but they are definitely a short-term solution. The composition triangle, yep. So much lighting patterns, the triangle and movement. Yeah, that's awesome, Gina. I'm so glad that you learned so much. Farhana says, learning tip today, pay attention to the detail, the texture, the glaze, the direction of the flatware. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. All right, it was an absolute pleasure. We've got the link to register next week in the comments. I'll see you later.